This conference will now be recorded.
In the last session, we were talking about four types of accounts: GL account, customer account, vendor account, and then fixed asset account. Out of these four, we were talking about sales and purchases, in short, customer and vendor. We understood whatever we do with vendor is related to accounts payable. In short, this is all related to purchases. Purchases we understood with the help of purchase order, without the help of purchase order. With the help of purchase order, whatever we make, it is called as FIMM integration or P2P cycle. Without the help of purchase order, whatever we do is called as direct procurement or accounting accounts payable or FI accounts payable. On the other side, when we were talking about sales, we understood all the sales are related to customer, and these sales are based on the sales order and without sales order. Any sale happened with the help of a sales order is represented as FIST integration or O2C cycle. We need to make sure when it comes to sales, FIST integration is mandatory. When it comes to purchases, FIMM integration is mandatory because in any organization, in any SAP environment, sales and purchases will always happen with the help of MM and ST. And that's where it is very important for us to understand FIMM integration, FIST integration without any exception. You cannot even ignore it. If you are not aware of FIMM integration, it is very straightforward that you do not know how purchases will happen in any organization. On the other side, if you do not know what is FIST integration, you do not know how sales happens in any organization. Without these things, when you tell, I know accounts payable, I know accounts receivable, I know vendor accounting, I know customer accounting, it is only represented as basic training knowledge or basic academic knowledge that you have, not practical knowledge. This is basically related to sales and purchases. On the other side, if you take fixed asset, next thing you have fixed asset. When we take fixed asset includes both sales and purchases. Fixed assets includes both purchase and sale. You will have sale of a fixed asset. You will also have purchase of a fixed asset. When you're talking about fixed asset, first point we need to understand how do I identify that this is a fixed asset. Here you are going to identify the fixed asset with the help of benefit that you are going to get from the asset. When we're talking about benefit which we are going to get from the fixed asset, we are representing any asset or any capital investment that you are making or any capital expenditure that you are incurring. If your capital expenditure is going to be providing you a benefit for more than 1 year, any capital expenditure which is providing you benefit for more than 1 year is basically classified as a fixed asset. When you're talking about fixed asset, there is a fixed categorization of a fixed asset, meaning plant and machinery, land and building, motor cars, computers, software, licenses, all these kind of things are fixed asset. Now, when you're looking at any asset, for example, every day you're working on laptop. Laptop is a fixed asset. And every day you're working in an office. In the office, you have air conditioner. Air conditioner is a fixed asset. Right? For example, your office has given you a mobile phone to use for the official purpose. Your mobile phone becomes a fixed asset. In the office, you have chairs. All the chairs will become fixed asset. In the office, you have sofa set, dining table in the pantry area or kitchen area, or in the common area, you have various other things. Maybe refrigerator is there, different kind of stuff is there. Many things will be part of a fixed asset. But when you're talking about fixed asset, it is a group. When we say fixed asset is a group, nowhere you call it as a fixed asset. Everywhere you will represent the individual asset. Same like you have vendor, you have customer. Only at the beginning we are going to call as a vendor. Only at the beginning we are going to call it as a customer. Later on it is no longer called as a vendor, no longer called as a customer. Instead of a vendor, you will replace the vendor name. Instead of the customer, you will replace the customer name. Altogether we call as a vendor. Altogether we call as a customer. Altogether we call as a fixed asset. That's it. But when you look at it, you'll have to look at the individual vendor, individual customer, individual asset. When you're talking about individual vendor, for example, name of any person, name of any organization. You cannot say, give me three vendor example. You cannot say vendor one, vendor two, vendor three. You'll have to tell either names of the persons or names of the organization. For example, my name is Ajay. Ajay can be a vendor, Ajay can be a customer. Or my name is Ajay SAP FICO Private Limited. I can say Ajay SAP FICO Private Limited is a name of a person or name of a organization. This also can become a customer or a vendor. Similarly, when you're talking about fixed asset, first thing you need to understand which asset categorization are we representing. If you're talking about furniture, when I'm talking about furniture, I can say sofa set is a furniture, office chair is a furniture, dining table is a furniture. Likewise, there are so many categorizations under furniture. Furniture is a group. Under furniture, there may be so many items, and same item may be represented in so many things. For example, I have a sofa set. For example, I have a sofa set in my office. Assuming that I have around 25 sofa sets, I'm not going to create 25 sofa set as a single asset. Instead, I will create 25 sofa set assets because these are 25 individual assets which are represented by a different area. For example, in the head office, I have three sofa set. First floor, I have one sofa set. Let's say in the pantry area, there are two sofa set. I'll have to create in such a way that by the moment I look at any asset, I'll be able to understand what is this asset, where is this asset. If I'm not able to understand this, if I'm not able to tag my asset, if I'm not able to identify the location of my asset accounting is not going to be helpful. Meaning, you need to understand in any organization, assets are very huge. If you take any organization, assets are huge. As we're talking about SAP FICO, initially, as we discussed, small companies cannot afford SAP. Small companies cannot afford SAP. All big companies only will go for SAP. Meaning, a company who is using SAP will have their business operations at a wide range. Meaning, it's a huge business process. Their turnover, all these things are high. When it is a very big company or when it is a big company, what usually happens? Assuming this company has got around 5,000 employees, which is very common nowadays. Any company who is using SAP, let's say they have around 2,000 employees or 5,000 employees. Assuming that it has got around 5,000 employees. When you have 5,000 employees in any organization, we need to make sure for every employee you will provide a laptop or a desktop. When you have 5,000 employees, we need to make sure every employee is working in the office. Let's say out of 5,000, if you remove the support staff, maybe cleaning staff and all, approximately 4,500 who are actually working on the system. If you know that you have around 4,500 employees who are working on the system, we need to make sure all these 4,500 employees are provided with laptop or a desktop. No other go, your company will have to purchase 5,000 laptops or 5,000 desktop. Here you can see 5,000 assets. You can see every asset, every computer is an asset, individual asset. You'll have to create 5,000 asset master. We are all aware every asset will have value reduction by way of depreciation. Every asset will have a value reduction by way of depreciation. We need to make sure the moment you purchase the asset based on the law that is applicable in the respective country. If you're talking about Indian organization, Indian company, in India, according to Indian Companies Act or according to Indian Income Tax Act or according to IFRS principle, we need to make sure you are going to evaluate your asset. We need to make sure we are going to evaluate our asset. When you are evaluating the asset, you'll have to charge depreciation. What do you mean by depreciation? How depreciation is calculated? What is a straight line method? What is WDV method? What is useful life method? What is units of production method? Likewise,
Hi guys,
there are.
I joined a bit late. I'm just wondering if Ajay is speaking or not. Is there someone speaking? Because I cannot hear anyone or anything.
Please rejoin, Prince. I'm talking. Somebody put a message in the chat box to rejoin. Okay. Yep. We need to make sure all these things are taken care. depreciation methods, everything we should have basic fundamental knowledge, because this is something which is exactly same what we studied in our academic. We would have studied what is asset, fixed asset, net book value of the asset, purchase of the asset. Asset is always represented as the original value of the asset, meaning asset you should always represent at the cost price. What is the cost of your asset? You'll have to represent it and then deduct the depreciation from your asset, show the net book value of the asset or show the net value of the asset. These points will appear, will be used as it is even in the organization with minor changes. When we say with minor changes, we will be using as it is. If you know at least the basic fundamentals at the beginning, when you're looking it from SAP point of view, you will be in a confident way that yes, the way I know my asset accounting, the way I know the general treatment of the fixed asset, it is similar even in SAP. Don't think that currently I am keeping all my accounting knowledge, everything aside. When I start my SAP FICO course, I am going to learn everything from the scratch, not going to practically happen. If anybody is thinking, once I enter SAP FICO, I will learn everything from the fresh with fresh mindset, all these things, practically nothing is going to work. Because this is not going to work in that way. SAP FICO is something, if you do not know the proper fundamentals, if you do not follow the right approach, no matter how much effort you put, you will not get the expected result. Even if you practice for 1 year, you will not see the expected result because your approach is not correct. Your understanding is not correct because this is an ocean. SAP FICO is like an ocean, it's never ending topic. You need to understand for you to get a job according to your skill set, according to your experience level, according to your knowledge, where and how much you need to put in your effort. If you're able to understand, if you're able to put your efforts in a proper manner, you will see the expected result. Otherwise, no matter whatever the effort that you put, is not going to give you the expected result, or the result may come at but at very late stage. Maybe it may take more than 1-2 years for you to get a job. Right? You'll have to consider all these points before you take a decision whether to learn SAP FICO or not. Don't be with a mindset that I attend the classes, I refer the recording, I practice, I get the job. Not going to practically happen. There are so many things beyond knowing SAP FICO content to get the job. Those are the practical things, practical knowledge about SAP FICO, which cannot be practiced on the system. Because tomorrow, keep in your mind, you are supposed to get a job by talking, not by practicing. In the interview, everybody will put you questions. You have to answer. You have to understand their question, give an answer in such a way that they get convinced. They feel confident, yes, this candidate is aware of this subject. For that to happen, you need to talk. For you need to talk, you cannot talk configuration, you cannot talk step-by-step process of SAP FICO. You should talk like an experienced candidate. You should talk in such a way that the other person realizes, yes, he or she has got the knowledge. For that to happen, what to do? You have to have a clear understanding, a clear thought process. Only then this is going to be possible. Otherwise, upfront not possible. You will complete the course, there is no doubt about it. 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, or 6 months, your course will be over. But after that, when your course or when your knowledge is not going to help you to get the job, this is of no use. Okay, basically this is related to asset. So here you are going to talk about purchase of an asset, sale of an asset, transferring of an asset, and then depreciating the asset, reevaluating the asset. Likewise, there are different fundamental points, different transactions within the asset. We need to make sure all these fundamental points we are aware of it. We need to make sure all these fundamentals you are aware of it so that the same points will be used as it is in your SAP. And lastly, we have GL account. Lastly, you have GL account. We understood GL account includes everything. GL account including everything. Here you have two things, main GL and sub GL. When you're talking about main GL, you're talking about main ledger. When you're talking about sub GL, you're talking about sub ledger. Main GL is nothing but other than AP, ARAA. When you're talking about main GL, we're talking about everything other than accounts payable, accounts receivable, asset accounting. In short, other than customer, other than vendor, other than fixed asset, everything is main GL. When you're talking about sub GL, it is strictly or only AP. This is your only AP, AR, AA. Subledger is only accounts payable, accounts receivable, asset accounting. In short, both are part of your GL account only. But in GL, you have a classification called main GL, sub GL, or main ledger, sub ledger. Make sure this classification you understand. Make sure this classification you understand so that it will be easy for you to practically relate, okay, what is happening in GL module, what is happening in AP module. Tomorrow, when you're not having any clarity, why these many submodules are there, why AP, AR, why we're telling GL is everything, but again, why we're talking separately AP, AR, asset and all, you need to have a little more clarity as we progress, as you start working on the system, you'll understand conceptually, okay, why we are treating vendor separately, why we are treating assets separately, why we are treating customers separately, because of different purpose. Because of different purpose we are treating it. Those purposes slowly we need to have a clarity. Otherwise, technically we will understand how to set up the system, how to post the entry, how to see the report. But conceptually, when you have to explain to somebody or when somebody is talking, you are listening to it, you may not be able to practically relate to what they're talking. Reason, the fundamental points we are missing. As we are missing fundamental points, we will find it difficult to understand when somebody is talking. This is more important. When somebody is talking, whether you are able to understand or not, this is the only point with which you can measure your SAP skill set, your SAP knowledge. If I give you something, please do this configuration, show me in SAP, anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. You can do it, I can do it, even a fresher also can do it. But when I give you a scenario, when I give you a business requirement, business process, now I want you to talk about that business process, or I show you a problem, I show you an issue, I want you to solve the problem, solve the issue. Here, your technical knowledge is not going to help. Here, your technical knowledge is not going to help. You need to have the conceptual understanding, whether you are able to understand the scenario that I'm talking about or not. Point number one. Point number two, whether you're aware of that business process or not. What happens in any organization, not in a generic way, from a company perspective, according to any organization, how they use that particular process. If you at least know the basic fundamentals, you can easily relate to it. Okay, this could be the situation, that could be the situation. Let me try in this way, let me try in that way. But your approach, how you're receiving my scenario, how you're receiving my question, makes more impact in your interviews or with your client. Usually what will happen if you're not able to understand the exact requirement of your client or your business process, we may not be able to deliver it as expected. When these things are happening, usually you will be having tough time in any project. When we say it will be a tough time in any project, you need to make sure, okay, if this is the requirement, how do I go about it? If I'm aware of it, if I'm not aware of it, if I'm aware of it, what is the approach? If I'm not, then what is the approach? These points, when you look at conceptually, practically, this is going to help you a lot wherever you are. Whether you're in a project, you're in the interview, you're in the organization, these fundamentals will help you in every place to feel comfortable to talk confidently. Else, you'll not be able to talk anything. If it is about the configuration, if it is about the step-by-step process in SAP FICO, nobody is ready to listen to you in the interview, in the project, in the organization. Meaning, according to us, most of the times what we all think is SAP FICO is all about configuration. Most of us, we think that SAP FICO I'm learning means I have to do all the configuration and all. Everybody knows there are many T codes, settings we'll have to maintain and all. What we will do unconsciously or unknowingly, what we all will do we all end up doing is we will create multiple company codes. For example, I do my practice. Let's say we will do practice. We will do practice, but what we are practicing, initially your practice, whatever the way you do it is fine. Initially, whatever the way you do practice, it is fine. But later on, the way you are practicing is going to decide whether you gain the knowledge, whether you will get the job or not. Your practice will tell everything. Normally, what will happen? We all see the practice in such a way that first is your initial level practice. Your initial level practice is nothing but the moment you start attending the sessions, classes, whatever you are taught. But this is how you need to go, this is how you need to make the settings. You copy paste the settings as it is. That is your initial level. That is fine. That is fine. For example, initially you are creating one or two company codes. Initially you are creating one or two company codes. In short, one or two times you are practicing. Now your initial level practice is only to make you feel comfortable with the system, nothing else. Where initial level configuration is only to make you feel confident, comfortable with the system. In short, you are getting habituated to the SAP screen, SAP system, how to operate the system. That's it. Don't expect you will understand something from your initial level practice. Don't expect you are going to understand something from your initial level practice, because this is all bits and pieces. Here your focus is on whether you are getting any error message, you are not getting any error message, whether I am giving the right transaction code or not. This is what we are going to see in the initial level practice. Once this is completed, then comes your actual practice. When you're doing actual practice, here you have to do minimum 3 company codes. Here you'll have to do minimum 3 company codes, or at least 3 company codes is required. Or if you do not have time, 2 company codes is mandatory. 2 company codes are minimum, but it is always better if you practice with 3 company codes. I mean, 3 times you'll have to practice. Now, when you're doing actual practice, you have to take the actual business process. Here, what you need to do, here you need to refer the class recording, refer the class Excel sheet, practice it. That is your initial level, because you're following what I'm doing in the class. Once that is completed, when it comes to your actual practice, your practice is based on your understanding. Your initial practice is based on my class, what I explained you, what I taught you. You are making sure that, okay, whatever he taught today, whatever he explained today, I am able to understand. I am able to do the same setting, fine. Now you got familiar to the system. Later on, when you do the actual practice, it is your understanding. You are putting your understanding in the system. If you are again doing this initial level practice, same point in the actual practice, it is not going to be helpful at all. This is not at all helpful. I'm upfront telling you, this practice, if you do it, this is not going to be any help. Reason, you're not applying your mind. Tomorrow when you work in a project as a FICO consultant, nobody will help you. You are an individual contributor. When I say you are an individual contributor, as a FICO consultant in any project, in any part of the world, you have to contribute individually. It's not like end user job. If you are not there, I will take half of your job, or if you're not feeling well, I'll share your work. Nothing like that will happen in any project, especially for SAP FICO. Why you are individually responsible for it? Because this is always based on the requirement. This is always based on the requirement. It is not like that I know how to create a company code, you know how to create a company code, everybody knows how to create a company code. But when I create a company code, I create company code with a different approach. You create it with blindly, because I know what is the business requirement. You do not know what is the business requirement. You only know the technical part of it. What is a transaction code and what information is required, how to save it in a TR is what you know. Same thing I also know, but along with that, I know the requirement. Along with that, I know the requirement. According to the requirement, I will do my configuration. If I give it to you, you may not be able to do it because you are missing a configuration. Here, It is not about technical skill set, whether you know or you do not know how to create a company code. That is not the question here. The question is whether you can create the company code for my business requirement. If you have the business process understanding, if you got my business requirement transferred to you or shared with you, you can do it. If not, how can you do it? You cannot do it. You will see a screen. It's as simple as like you are filling an application form. As simple as like you are filling an application form, and this application form, I know how to fill it. If you know how to write, everybody can fill up the application form. Even first class student also who can write ABCD, they can also fill the application form. But if the application form is related to yourself, you can fill it up. Either ways you can do it. You do something or the other thing, you will fill it up. But when I want you to fill up my application form, you cannot fill just like that. And if you are unable to fill up my application form, doesn't mean you do not know how to write. This is because you do not have my details, so you cannot fill it up. Reason you are unable to fill up is you do not have my details. That doesn't mean you don't know how to write. This is nowhere related to your qualification, nowhere related to your any other thing. This is purely related to you do not have my details, my information to fill the application. To fill the application, you need my details. If I share my details, anybody can fill the application. If I share my name, my date of birth, my country, India, qualification, address, everything, if I share, anybody can fill up the application, provided they have the details of mine. Same thing here also. If you have the business requirement, anybody can configure the system. You know the technical part of SAP, meaning you know the configuration part and all. That is why you're telling that you're a FICO consultant. If you do not know that, you will tell, I am not a FICO consultant. I do not know SAP FICO. When you're telling you know SAP FICO, when you're telling you know you are SAP FICO consultant, it is understood for everybody that you can configure the system. Again, don't tell that I can configure the system by talking the config. Right? You will be given requirement. You'll be given business cases. You'll be given scenarios. Based on that, make sure you can talk. You can explain your understanding. It has to be like that. But not that you will tell your configuration with the help of configuration. Somebody will recognize you. That is not going to happen. Somebody will recognize you with your configuration as you are a trained candidate, as you are an inexperienced candidate. People will recognize, but in a negative way, not in a positive way. You should know what you need to talk, how you need to talk when you're in the interview, when you're talking to somebody, so that you will get a positive impact. If you're talking about the configuration, nobody wants it. Tomorrow, go talk to somebody. This is the configuration of SAP FICO about accounts payable. This is what we do. Accounts receivable. This is what you do. You're not a trainer in the project. You're not a trainer in the interview. You're not a trainer to your friend to talk about the config. Who will talk the configuration? Those who are learning, those who are teaching only will talk the config, because the intention is to make sure you feel comfortable with the system, you understand, and you'll be able to practice the system. That is why you are explained with the configuration, you are shown the configuration. But tomorrow in the interview, you are not teaching configuration to your interviewer. When you're talking about all the configuration steps, your interviewer will clearly understand he or she is just completed a training. They do not know what is actual SAP FICO, what a consultant does. Upfront, they'll reject you. Why they are rejecting? Because you're talking config. You're talking only configuration. Who will talk only configuration? Those who do not know how SAP FICO works. Those who practice only configuration, those who do not know business process, only they will talk the config. Others, they'll not talk. Why they'll not talk? Because they know that is not going to work out. That is not the expected thing from you in any interview. When you are aware of what is the expectation from you, accordingly you can mold yourself, accordingly you can prepare, accordingly you can project yourself in the market. As per the market standard, as per the current expectations from the organization, from the interviewer, if you are able to prepare, if you are able to gain the knowledge, Same thing when you put it in the interview, when you put it in the organization, project with your client, user, anybody, you will not find any difficulty. Otherwise, everywhere you will find a difficulty. Sometimes people upfront put your question on your face, did you really work in SAP FICO or not? Sometimes upfront people will put this kind of questions on your face, maybe in the interview, maybe in the project. Because the way you're talking, the way you're behaving in the organization with the system is something suspicious. An experienced candidate will not do it, or a properly knowledged candidate also will not do it. But we are doing something which is kind of, not okay for anybody. And that is the main point where most of the people will not get the job. If you understand the requirement properly, if you're able to relate it with the business process and you're able to explain it back, you will not find any difficulty anywhere. But this takes a little time, and it is purely based on how you are practicing, how you are understanding, how you are relating things with your understanding. It's not that I am teaching you something, you're following me completely, and then you will get the job. Not going to happen. I cannot guarantee on it. Nobody can guarantee on it. Because at the end, it is your individual performance in the interview. That is your level of understanding, how you're relating the subject, what is your level of understanding. These points, if you're able to relate it thoroughly, properly, there is no point of any confusion. Otherwise, it will lead to a lot of unnecessary confusion. Most of these points you will be realizing after attending first interview or after completing the course, which I don't want. I don't want you to realize certain points, certain things after the course or after attending the interview, because at that time you cannot do anything. You've already invested time, you've already invested money. After everything is gone, if you're realizing, okay, this is I require, or with this only I'll get a job, at that moment, what you will do? Again, you have to sit and do it. If you're already aware of the subject thoroughly, you can revise it, you can refresh it quickly because you're already aware of the subject. But most of the things are completely new to you, or you feel that whatever I know is not going to help me. Practically, things will become difficult. When we say practically, things will become difficult, in the interview, you should know what is expected from you. In the interview, you should know what is expected from you, and also in the project, what is expected from you. Whatever is expected from you in the interview is very simple. Whatever is expected from you in the interview is very simple. Everybody knows that there are certain 15 to 20 topics. On these 15 to 20 topics only, anybody in any part of the world take your interview. There are around 15 to 20 topics. If you know these 15 to 20 topics, and if you can manage 30 minutes, you will get the job. Getting a job in SAP FICO is not a big deal. Clearing the interview, anybody can do it. Because it's open fact, open secret. There are around 10 to 15 topics. If you are able to talk, I'm not telling you are able to configure the system. I'm just saying, if you are able to talk, everybody knows in the interview, you are not allowed to take your laptop. Nobody will give you a scenario. Nobody will ask you to solve the problem in the interview. This is not like your academic practical exam. Everybody will tell a scenario. They might ask a situation. They might ask you to tell your past experience and all. Here, how you are talking matters a lot. How you are talking matters a lot. How you are understanding how SAP FICO interview happens, that matters a lot. But unfortunately, what we all will do, we all will practice, we all will prepare the topic. SAP means this much, this is, and GL means these are the activities. AP means these are the activities, this is the configuration step. AR, these are the configuration step. Likewise, we all will revise only the configuration. Whatever it is related to SAP FICO, first point that strikes our mind is config. First point that strikes our mind is configuration because of different reasons. Because of different reasons, only config is coming into your mind, nothing else. Please make sure you should know the business process. When I say you should know the business process, here the simple example, yesterday we were talking about accounts payable, accounts receivable, in short customer vendor. Now you cannot practically say I know accounts payable, I know accounts receivable. When you tell I know accounts payable, You cannot say, I don't know FIMM integration. You cannot say. If you do not know what is FIMM integration, you do not know what is accounts payable, as simple as that. If you do not know accounts receivable, if you do not know what is customer, you do not know FIST integration, understood. That is fair enough. But when you tell, I know accounts receivable, I know accounts, I know customer accounting and all, and then when you tell, I do not know what is FIST integration, your accounts receivable knowledge is of no use. Because in any organization, sales will happen with the sales order, purchases will happen with purchase order. The basic fundamental point, if you are not able to understand, and when you are telling that I don't know this, I have not worked much on it, then what is your experience is all about? Then what did you work for last 3 years, 4 years? When you tell that you have an experience in SAP FICO for last 3 years, last 4 years, you were part of 2, 3 projects. If you do not know this, how did you work in the project? Because they will put simple, very basic questions in the interview. You will be given very simple, very basic questions in the interview. Those points, if you are able to understand, if you are able to answer in a proper way, you will get the job. But this also, most of the people, most of us will fail to do it. Why? Because we are all behind the configuration. The moment you want something, you want step by step screenshot configuration. You want detailed video which talks about how to go, how to click on your entry, where I'm clicking, where my cursor is going, everything you want in a screenshot or everything you want in a video. But what you're going to do with it? You're just going to do a copy paste. Wherever I click, you're clicking the same place. Why we are all doing it? We are blindly following. When you are blindly following, you are not going to understand anything. Initially, you have to struggle when you are learning SAP FICO. Not after learning SAP FICO, you should struggle. During your course, you have to struggle. During your course, you need to find it difficult. So that when you are within the course, when you are finding difficulties, when you are struggling, you can come out of all these things. You can ask different questions, different doubts, different confusion, and then you will get everything clarified. All doubts, confusions will get clarified when you are in your training itself. After completing the training, when you say that no, I'm not able to understand, I'm not able to practice and all, practically nobody can help you in that, because it is your mistake in that situation. You are not up to date, you're not practicing on a daily basis, or at least with a 1 week delay. This week, make sure till last week you're up to date by this week. 1 week is fine, but beyond that is practically not going to work out. You should be in touch with the system, with the subject, until you get the job at least. Don't say that, okay, from tomorrow onwards I will sit very seriously, from next week I'll do it. Don't do it. That next week will never come, that tomorrow will never come. Because every day, new things will be updated, your syllabus will increase, content that you need to prepare, practice will keep on increasing on a daily basis. If you're not up to the date, if you're not practicing, if you're not understanding, things will become difficult. When I say things will become difficult, if you are smart enough, you will understand at the half stage only that things are not working out. Meaning, you are not able to understand, you are not feeling comfortable, confident. Don't worry about it. You can again continue in another batch. As I mentioned, you will be trained until you get the job. It's not about 3 months course, 4 month course is over. After that, a Tata bye bye will not happen. You will be with me, or I'll be teaching you until you become a consultant. So you don't have to worry about this subject. Go at your own pace. When I say go at your own pace, if you are able to understand, it is fine. If you are not able to understand, go slowly only. There is no need for you to be in a hurry or to complete within 3 months. Nobody is giving you any target to get the job in 3 months. Practically, that is not possible also. Practically, that is not possible also to get a job in 3 to 4 months. Practically not possible. So you need to know the facts. When you know the fact, when you understand how the requirement is in the market, you will act accordingly. Otherwise, we do not know how to move, how to proceed. You don't have the proper guidance and all. That will make a lot of difficulties for you, where you have a lot of queries, questions running in your mind, but you have no answer. You don't know whom to ask. You don't know how to get the clarity. In SAP, especially FICO, on anything, if you Google it, if you talk, you'll get different opinions. Somebody will tell SAP FICO is good. Somebody will tell no, SAP FICO is not good. Somebody will suggest you to join SAP FICO. Somebody will tell no, don't join. You'll waste your money time. Somebody will tell there are no calls in the market. Somebody will tell yes, there are many opportunities in the market. Somebody will tell CO is mandatory. Somebody will tell no, without CO also you can do it. Somebody will tell freshers have no jobs. Somebody will tell freshers also have job. Somebody will tell in the project it's very difficult, we cannot manage. Somebody will tell it's very easy and there is no difficulty at all, I'm enjoying my job. People will talk different things about SAP FICO because it is like that. But which points you are considering, what points you are actually feeling that yes, this is fact, this is not a fact, or blindly you are believing in whatever comes in the air. Somebody will tell currently there is no opportunities, no much calls in the market. Okay, because somebody told there are no calls in the market, somebody else will not put their resume in the market. Somebody else will feel that okay, let me try after 2 months. Currently the market is very dull. Who told you that market is dull currently? Who told you? Have you gone and checked? No. Did you upload your resume? No. Just because somebody told market is down currently, calls are not coming much, I'll wait for 1 month and then I'll do it. This 1 month, whatever you know, you forget that also. Meaning somebody told you something is having an impact on you. It shows how confident you are and how strict you are, how serious you are about your SAP FICO. Somebody told you something, you're blindly believing in it, and that has an impact on you. It shows how serious you are about SAP FICO. First thing, please make sure you know what to believe, what not to believe in SAP FICO. If this point you are not clear, no matter what you do, you will not get job. You will not be successful because you do not have a clarity about what is SAP FICO. And then what are the market facts. If you are not aware of it, practically this is going to be very, very difficult, because tomorrow when somebody says it's easy, you will easily get the job. If you know this configuration, this step, that's it, your course is complete. You are expert, you are gem in the SAP FICO. You feel very confident, you feel very motivated, but that is not the fact. When somebody asks you different questions, what is this, why you are using it, why did you take this, and what is your requirement scenario, if you are unable to answer it, you feel that nobody will ask like this, he is asking all unnecessary questions, that's a different story. It depends on your level of understanding, your level of practical reality, whether you know the practical reality or not. That reveals everything, but most of the times we do not know it. When I say most of the times we do not know it, most of the people, they do not know the fact. They only feel that SAP FICO means course content, company code, chart of account, fiscal year, AP, AR, GL, taxation, integration, automatic payment program, BRS, and then everything is completed, course completed. You will only complete the course. You will not get the job, because that is not the job requirement. As I mentioned in the beginning stage, look at the job description, look at the course content. Course content is only the content of the SAP FICO configuration. Those who already practiced, look at the course content, you will practically realize now. It only talks about all the configuration steps you did. Create vendor account, create number range, assign the number range, or create company code, assign the company code, create chart of account, account group, fiscal year, chart of account. Only these things will be there in the course content, nothing else. Look at the job description, nobody will talk this. In the JD, you will ask you to know business requirement understanding, individually able to work, accounts payable, accounts receivable, integrations, interfaces, different points they will mention. Implementation project, rollout project, support, should be able to interact with the client, business, understand the requirement. Something like this they'll put in the JD or job description, which you may not be able to understand. Many things, many terms in the job description you will be hearing for the first time. Why these things are happening? Because of different reasons. You are limited only to the SAP FICO configuration. Beyond that, you know nothing. When you do not know anything other than SAP FICO configuration, whatever somebody is asking, you will end up talking only the config because that's what you know. According to you, SAP FICO means configuration. According to you, consultant means configuration, that's it. This is just 10% of your activity as a consultant. Configuration is only 10%. Remaining 90% activities, you do not even know what a consultant does. We feel that SAP FICO consultant means configuration, that's it. That's only 10% of what a consultant does in a project. If you know the 10% configuration content knowledge, definitely you will not get the job. As simple as that. What are the remaining 90% that you need to know? Unless and until you know these points, these fundamentals, practically it is very difficult. Upfront, this is difficult. Now what you need to do, everybody, whoever wants to learn SAP FICO, they need to make sure you have some network with you. When I say you have some network with you, make sure before you take a call, before you take a decision whether to join the SAP FICO or not to join the SAP FICO, talk to different people who are working in SAP as a consultants, people who are learning SAP FICO, people who already completed their SAP FICO training. Talk to them. You have to talk to them and then understand the different points from there. It should not be like I heard somewhere, everybody is telling it is good. I'm joining SAP FICO. Don't do it. Talk to the people, understand, only then take a decision. Talk to the people, understand, only then take a decision. It's up to you where you're joining, whether you're joining with me, joining with XYZ, it's okay. But end of the day, please make sure tomorrow you don't have to feel regret. I took a wrong call. I should not have joined SAP FICO. I should have joined some other course. I should have learned some other module, some other technology. You talk to the different people, then you will get a clarity. This clarity is more important than what I'm talking. Then you will realize, okay, people are talking like this, meaning this is what I need to understand to get a job. Once you have this understanding, then you can practically think, okay, it's not so easy. I need to put a lot of effort. It's not as simple as easy as I'm thinking. I need to put a lot of effort, a lot of practice. This is not going to happen. As I complete my course, I'm not going to get the job. Others, please be on mute. Okay, once you get all this information, you will have a basic idea, basic understanding. You will have a clarity. With this clarity, wherever you go, you will have something in your mind. Okay, I need to do this, I need to know this to get the job. That is fine. With that knowledge, with that understanding, wherever you are learning, you will get the job. But make sure these basic fundamentals are mandatory. You have to collect the facts from the market. Don't collect the facts from the SAP FICO course content and all. Collect the facts from the market by talking to different people who are working in SAP. Then only they can share you. No, it's not so easy. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to practice like this. Accordingly, you decide whether this is going to work out or not. Because you know what is your capability, you know what is your timelines, because somebody may be thinking, I have 4 months time, within 3 months I have to get a job. Somebody may be thinking, okay, if I know SAP FICO, if I complete course, somebody will give me a job. Not going to happen like that. There are different points to be considered. When I say there are different points to be considered related to your experience, there are many areas that I'll be talking maybe in couple of days from now. How you actually get into the market, what is the expectation from you, and what is your level of understanding, what's your experience background, everything, every point when I discuss, you'll have more clarity. Because don't be under an assumption that if you learn SAP FICO, you will get the job. Is not the reality, is not the fact. If you learn SAP FICO, you will get SAP FICO job. Is not the fact, is not reality. Be very clear with it. The many other points you will have to consider before you get a job in SAP FICO. Only after knowing everything in detail, take a decision. All right. So these points I'll talk in the towards the end, meaning when we are about to close the overview sessions, I'll take another 3 to 4 overview sessions When we are about to close overview sessions, maybe in the last 1 or 2 sessions, I'll talk about your experience, background, all these things. How you get the job, whether you have the opportunities for fresher, experienced, how you need to proceed. All these points I'll explain in detail so that you will have a clear picture about it. After that, in the course, anyways, we have to talk the subject only. That is the reason I don't get into the subject much, because once I start the topic, real time, regular classes, it's only the subject. There 3 to 4 months, we will be every day talking about subject only with different scenarios. But here, unless you do not know these points, you cannot take a decision. I don't want anybody to take a call just because, yeah, I'm familiar with FICO course content, I'm joining it. I don't want anybody to join that way, at least with me. I want you to realize what is the fact. Only then you can come to me. Otherwise, you are free to go anywhere. I'm nobody to stop. I'm nobody to influence you to learn with me and all. It should be with your understanding. It should be with your realization. That's it. If you feel, yes, this is what I'm expecting, yes, you can join. If you feel, no, I'm not able to understand, I feel comfortable with some other place, you are free to go learn anywhere. At the end, it's your money. At the end, it's your career. Tomorrow, when you feel regret, I don't want to be the reason for it. I'm not aware of this, or I should have known these points at the beginning only. This is quite common for most of the people. But when that situation comes, it should not be sounding like, okay, I was not aware of these things. As you have to keep in your mind, it's not so easy to get a job in SAP FICO. You'll have to put a lot of efforts. Hard work is required, efforts is required, right guidance is required, right content is required. Only then you'll get the job. Otherwise, you'll complete the course, you'll not get the job. Completing the course is a different aspect. Getting a job is a different aspect. You'll have to be very clear whether you wanted to complete a SAP FICO course or you wanted to get SAP FICO job. Completing a FICO course has got a different criteria. Getting a job has got a different criteria. Your mindset, your thinking should be completely different in these two. But most of the time, we feel that both are same. If I complete job, if I complete course, I get the job. That is not going to happen. Upfront, I'm telling that is not going to happen. Okay. All right. Let me stop this here. The remaining portion related to experience, job, what exactly you will do, what is required from you, we will talk from the next session onward, which means from tomorrow onwards, we will practically talk about the experience, how you will get into the market, and what should be your skill set, what and all you have to know to get a job. Okay, and whether you have opportunities at what level, as a fresher, as an entry level, or as an experienced, how you have to proceed. And all these points I'll explain you practically, the points that are valid in the market. Open raw facts, whatever is there in the market, I'll tell you, I'll talk as it is. You can go verify whether what I'm talking is right or wrong with talking to different SAP FICO people. Then you can take a decision. All right, fine then. So we'll continue at the same time tomorrow morning. And from tomorrow, we will be discussing about jobs, different other practical points related to how you will get a job. When I say how you will get a job, I'm not going to talk from tomorrow onwards on this subject anymore. I'll be talking practical points related to SAP FICO jobs, experience, all this kind of a thing. What you will do as a consultant, what will be your experience and all, so that you have a thorough understanding. After that, every day we will be talking about subject only. Fine then. So we'll connect at the same time tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.